Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me here today. We should be finding out exactly what is going on now with Xbox here any minute. We've got a couple of more minutes here. Hopefully, this will be uploaded and put on timely and that it actually has like a video or something for podcast with them sitting down and giving us the information here. Should be any minute now. I don't know if this is going to come up as like just an uploaded video. It's not on their live or anything, like their live feed. So I don't know exactly how this is supposed to work out, but I'm just going to do a quick audio check. Let you guys let me know if you can hear me. Let's find out if you guys can hear me or not. No, they haven't announced anything official. They haven't said anything about how long it should be. Let's find out if you guys can hear me or not. All right. All right. Yeah. Nope. They've not said a thing about it. So hopefully the live whatever this is, this Xbox podcast they're going to be doing is it should be up now. So I'm expecting maybe an hour at most. Videos. No, I don't see anything. I got to turn up the brightness here. Yeah, there doesn't. Come on, guys. They're probably getting slammed with traffic right now. Oh, here it is. All right, I guess we're going to see the future here. Great.
Hello and welcome to the official Xbox podcast. I'm your host, Tina Amini, and we have a very special episode today, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm joined by Phil, Sarah, and Matt. Welcome. And we're going to talk about some updates at Xbox. We want to talk about game exclusivity. We want to talk about Activision Blizzard now that they're part of our portfolio, how that might be an impact on Game Pass. And we want to talk about hardware, too, and how all of this fits into the strategy.
All right, I just want to put out here I may be pausing this intermittently to like give my thoughts and talk. So if that's not like what you're expecting, I'm sorry. I'm not just going to let it play all the way through. We're going to see a lot of corporate speak, and if I can, I will try to break it down. Okay, so this whole video is 22 minutes long. And it does have chapters put up here. So, but yeah, YouTube keeps telling me that the audio bit rate is 0. Let me know. Yeah, I know you guys can hear me. Let me know, for sure if you guys can hear the video or not, and I'll adjust the audio as best I can. But yeah, here it is. So, I guess here we go. Oop.
Strategy at Xbox. So where should we start, Phil?
Well, when we originally had planned for the show, starting back in December, I think we probably would have started with Activision Blizzard, maybe talked a little bit about the exclusivity with some of the news coming up, and then hardware. But we've had some unforeseen news that has come out. So let's just go and tackle the exclusivity question, because I know it's on the minds of a lot of people. We hear from the community, and that's an important input for us. So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles, just 4 games. Not a change to our kind of fundamental exclusive strategy. We're making these decisions for some specific reasons. We make every decision really with the long-term health of Xbox in mind. And long-term health of Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform for creators, reaching as many players as we can. We're always looking to learn as a leadership team and to grow. And we think this is an interesting point in time for us to use what some of the other platforms have right now to help grow our franchises. So we're going to do that.
So these 4 titles, what are they? Can you say?
Oh, geez.
I'm not going to name those games. The
What?
teams that are building those games have announced plans that are not too far away. As we know, game teams put a lot of energy into their announcements with the partners. So,
hold on a second.
I don't want to take anything.
So he just announced that there's going to be 4 games that go, but he's not going to say what 4 games they are. Oh, boy.
Away from those teams. So I won't be talking about the titles specifically, but I think when they come out, it'll make sense.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
They are not Starfield or Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Well, what was the criteria in how the team was thinking about selecting those 4 titles?
Let me start a little bit outside of that, and then I'll get to the 4 specific games that we're talking about right now. Because the fundamental decision driver for any decision that we make, anything we're going to talk about today, is the long-term health of Xbox. That we're running a growing platform that is reaching more players, that our games are having as much success as possible. And I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 or 10 years, exclusive games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware, are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the game industry. And that's not some great insight, because if you look at the last 10 years and what the biggest games are today, it's a natural place. Whether it's one console and PC, multiple consoles, mobile console and PC, you see big games landing on multiple platforms. And we want to be a great platform for creators that are trying to realize that potential. But now back to the specifics of the question on these four specific titles. We looked at games that are over a year old, so they've been on Xbox and PC
Infinite
for a while. A couple of the games are community-driven games,
Halo
new
Infinite.
games that kind of first iterations of a franchise that have reached their full potential, I'd say, on Xbox and PC. There's always growth. Franchises that we obviously want to continue to invest in. Part of having the ability to continue to invest is that the businesses behind those franchises continue. We think it's important that these service-based games that have communities behind them, that they can have confidence that they're going to exist in the future. So 2 of them, kind of community-driven games that will end up on other platforms and give us the ability to continue to invest in them. We think that's great for the business and great for the communities, more players to play with. I'd say 2 of the other games are smaller games that were never really meant to be built as kind of platform exclusives and all the fanfare that goes around that. But games that our teams really wanted to go build, that we love supporting creative endeavors across our studios, regardless of size. And as they've realized their full potential on Xbox and PC, we see an opportunity to utilize the other platforms as a place to just
MCC
drive
and
more
Infinite.
business value.
I definitely agree with
allowing
that.
us to invest in maybe future iterations of those, so sequels to those, or just other games like that in our portfolio. And when we don't damage Xbox and we can grow our business using what other platforms have and to help us with that, we're going to do that. And that's really the story behind these 4 games. And last thing I'll say, looking forward.
So, I mean, this isn't like, he just used a lot of words to say something very simple. And that is that they have these 4 games. 2 of them are very community driven, which makes me think of Halo and what's been rumored as Sea of Thieves. And then 2 smaller ones, which were rumored as Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush. And essentially, they feel like they've gotten all they can out of the Xbox community for these games, and they want to reach out and put them on other platforms. it's shocking a little bit to me that he won't just say what the games are because he wants to let the teams announce them and have their own reveals. When the house is on fire as bad as this is, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good strategy or not. I mean, he did come right out and say, Starfield, Indiana Jones, not going to any other platforms. They are staying on the Xbox and PC. So, I mean, there's that. Phil has said so many different things, though, over the years that it's hard to believe that if whatever these 4 games are have like huge success, that there won't be pressure from his bosses to be like, hey, we need to put these other games, we need to put those on PlayStation and Switch too. So I don't know. It's it is what it is. But we still have. We're only 5 minutes into this video, so we still have at least a good amount of time to go. So I guess let's see what else they have to talk about.
I think there is an interesting story for us of introducing Xbox franchises to players on other platforms to get them more interested in Xbox. We think there's a good brand value for Xbox there. So 4 games, no promise beyond that. So if you're on those other platforms and you see these 4 games coming, please don't take it as some signal that everything's coming. It's not. And we're going to learn.
So when you are thinking about the future and this concept of live service games that can benefit from bigger audiences.
I do have to say, Phil looks incredibly uncomfortable and nervous right now, which, I mean, I understand why, but it's just like on his face, like, oh man.
New audiences. How does that apply to future titles and how you're applying that criteria there?
Yeah, there's really no fundamental change to how we think about exclusivity. We just came out of Developer Direct, which was an awesome show where we showed great games that are coming to Xbox and PC and cloud, which really makes them accessible to hundreds of millions of people. So it's this kind of, we're really focused on a couple platforms and what's going to show up there. But our key of play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, when everybody plays, we all win. These have been part of our strategy for years and will continue to be. Our focus is on how do we continue to grow the games industry by reaching more players in more places, and how do we grow Xbox as part of that. Xbox is a hardware platform, Xbox is a publisher of great games, and Xbox as a platform for the world's best creators.
And then knowing that, how do we think about our first-party games and Game Pass?
Yeah, well, to build on what Phil just said, one thing I would add, as you were talking about growth, is just that we've sort of seen this inversion over the last 5 years where it used to be that the platform was the biggest thing.
That's right.
And the games would sort of tuck in within the platform. Today, big games like a Roblox or a Fortnite could actually be bigger than any one platform.
Yeah,
and that really has changed the way that we think about things. So in the midst of all that, I think we at First Party can come back to sort of some core principles. First, that all of our games will be on the Xbox platform. Second, all of our games will go into Game Pass on day 1. And third, we know that Game Pass will only be available on Xbox. So there's sort of starting points for us. As Phil mentioned, there are games today that you can play that only can be found on Xbox. And at the same time, we want to bring more of our games to more players. So we're going to continue to look at that. Kind of moving aside, though, from some.
All right, so things we could take away. Games day 1 on Game Pass. Game Pass is staying where it's at. It's not going to any other platforms, which is what I said in one of my previous videos, is that Game Pass is the biggest exclusive because it's the service specifically for Xbox. So it doesn't really sound like a whole lot is changing, to be honest.
Some of those and thinking more about what does it really mean for the player. To me, the 2 key things are cross-play and cross-save. Those things allow us to deliver on the promise of Xbox, which is play with your friends where they are, play on the devices you want, play the games you want. So that is really only possible at a practical level when you know that your saves and your player are going to be able to move across all those parts. So not all of our games today are necessarily built to take advantage of that. There still will be some games that don't. As we bring more teams into the Xbox family, there's some catch up to do as we get there. But that cross-play, cross-save is like so fundamental to what we're doing, and I think is something that we as first party get such a good benefit from being so close to the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you said, all of our games are always in Game Pass. And so I'm excited to announce, with the coming together that we had with Activision Blizzard King, that Activision and Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass, starting with Diablo 4 on March 28th, which I'm super, super excited to share today. And it's all part of our commitment to make Xbox, the Xbox experience, and the games that we build as widely available as possible. So now the 34 million.
So, okay, that makes a whole lot of sense as to why the Blizzard CEO just recently left. I think it was last year when the game came out, they were talking about like, oh, is the game going to go into Game Pass? And they were like, no, it's not going to Game Pass, not anytime soon. And here, less than a year later, there it is going into Game Pass. Hey, Death Trooper. I feel like it's going to start with something like Starfield going to PS5, and then a few generations later, it's going to be everything. Earlier here on the stream in the video, they did announce that Starfield and Indiana Jones are not the games that are going there as of right now. I can imagine whatever games they have that are going to be going into it, if they take off and become big sellers, that of course they're going to have more pressure to put those games in there. But as of right now, Starfield and Indiana Jones are remaining to be one of the exclusives that stay on the Xbox. But let's go ahead here and take a look at the rest of the stuff. I just think that's incredible. Of course, they would put Diablo in Game Pass.
Million Game Pass members can all enjoy the fantastic experience of Diablo 4.
Amazing. Can we come back to the point, Phil, you mentioned at the top, this isn't really a change in strategy for us. Can you recap for me how it isn't?
Yeah, and I thought both Matt and Sarah did a really nice job of talking about what we're doing on Xbox, where we're going. If you take a platform feature like Xbox Play Anywhere, which has been a promise that we've made on our first-party games, that you can buy our game once, you're going to get to play across Xbox and Windows. I think we're the only platform that does this. That makes it possible for you not only to play with your friends wherever they are, but to know that you actually have multiple entitlements to the games. I think that's a technology I would love to see applied to more platforms. But it is this view that people are going to play Xbox in multiple places. Whether it's play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, whether it's content, community, and cloud, whether it's when everybody plays, we all win. Like, we've had different taglines, different strategy, kind of words that we've used, but always with this view that Xbox is a platform for creators who want to reach the most players. Our investments in xCloud, our investments in franchises like Minecraft and now Call of Duty and other large franchises, so that we learn how to build those. This has been a strategy that we've been on for, I'd say, a decade. It's not about one device. It's not about games in service of a device, but rather the devices that people want to play on should be in service of making the games as big and popular as they possibly could be. Because really, a healthy creator community on Xbox, a healthy creator community in gaming all up, is the thing that all of us as game players should be voting for, because that's the thing that will lead to the best long-term success and growth in this industry.
Man, he looks tired.
And my understanding, just from listening and learning from you three over the past few weeks, just understanding what's happening with Xbox, is that we see trends with player behavior where people are playing on multiple devices. That is the reality. And we have put some games out on multiple platforms before. So my understanding is that that's been good for players. How does that come back to the business with all of that in mind?
Yeah, as you said, we have shipped games on other platforms. In fact, realistically, if you look with the addition of Activision and Blizzard and ZeniMax, We're one of the largest game publishers on PlayStation. We're one of the largest publishers on the Nintendo Switch, especially when you put Minecraft into the equation as well. And now we're one of the largest publishers on mobile platforms as well. And that's not something that we want to back away from. We want to continue to be building great games that millions and millions of people can love, and that they can play those games where they want to go play. But we do understand the business success that Xbox has to have. Us as leaders in this business, the system today, the system that all companies that we play video games from, is a world of you got to be growing your business. Growth in our Xbox business is critical to the long term.
Just taking a look at
many people know I've been on
the
Xbox
chapters
for over 20
of
years,
what we're going to be able to see here.
I want to make sure Xbox is in the best position for the next 20 years. That means healthy player community, healthy creator community, and healthy business. So when we look at opportunities to allow more people to play, more people engage, more people to buy, more people to subscribe, it's all about putting Xbox in the best position. And our hardware is a critical component of that. The absolute best experience somebody has on Xbox is hardware that your team builds and that people play on. But that's not going to be everybody. We fully accepted that we're going to have Xbox players across all kinds of devices.
So I think a lot of people think about 2023 as this incredible year for gaming. And in a lot of ways it was. There were some really amazing releases that I think we all enjoyed. But what were the signals behind the scenes that maybe indicated how we wanted to look at the future of Xbox and how we kind of keep up with the industry?
Yeah, such a good question. And I think it's, as people who care about the industry, which I assume is people who are watching this, it was an amazing year. Some great launches, some of the games that I think will stand the test of time and people will be talking about a decade from now. But it's an industry that didn't really grow. And what happens when an industry doesn't grow? You end up with some job eliminations, which we had. We had even our own hard decisions to make about building a sustainable business for ourselves, but in no way were we alone in that. When you think about a healthy industry, I want players who believe that they will find the best games on the platforms that they love. I want people who invest their careers in working here to feel like this is a place that they can be successful. And that really is down to being part of an industry that is growing. If you listen to Lisa Su, the AMD CEO, she'll say that AMD-powered consoles are likely to decline in 2024. I think there's an amazing set of games coming in 2024, but if we don't get to growing as an industry, the industry will struggle. And today there's really two choices on how do you grow the industry. Do you say I have a fixed number of players, the players that we have today, and do I find new ways to monetize those players to get more money from the players that I have? Or do you think about how do I expand the business I have by finding new players and adding those to the base of players that already play? Our focus on Xbox for the last decade has really been on that latter point of how do we make sure Xbox is growing for our players.
He said something very important that I want to make sure to have highlighted here is without putting your games on other platforms, how do you continue to grow your business? And he said, basically, do you find new ways to monetize off of your existing fan base? And for a game that we've covered here a lot on the channel with Halo Infinite, that's exactly what they've been doing. They've been trying to find ways to monetize more of a shrinking audience, which is actually a video that I'm going to be putting out here probably in the next couple of days. But I mean, yeah, I said this in the last video that I uploaded. More people having access to games that we on the Xbox side have had access to only benefits those games, and it makes things better for the developers for those games. Like I was saying with Halo, they put Halo Infinite on PS5. That's a whole new audience that is going to play the game. It's going to add more to the player pool, and then it's going to obviously it's going to have a better impact for the developers.
Players growing for our creators. So those people are finding success on our platform, which will grow the Xbox business and put Xbox in a position to be very strong for years and decades to come.
Matt, earlier you were talking about these growing gaming communities, how they're incredibly large, and comparable on such a different level when we
Oh,
think
yeah.
about
Playing-
console audiences.
playing
Like you
Halo 3
mentioned
would have been
Roblox, you mentioned
amazing.
Fortnite. So how are we're obviously thinking about our responsibility, our hardware responsibility is supporting the growth of gaming
Where are we
communities.
at?
How has that actually shown
Gaming
up for the players? Are
communities.
there other games we can speak to from our portfolio?
Well, as Phil mentioned, I mean, two of the biggest ones for us, Call of Duty and Minecraft, I mean, they are driven just from the bottom up by the communities of people that play those games, which is so great. I think about it, for the player community, it comes down to where are the friends, where are the people you play with, and then equally important is where have you built up your library of games, right? Where have you invested? Where's that library? I think those two things probably are some of the biggest influences on where people choose to play and what devices they choose to play.
Yeah.
When we think about, on the other side, the developer side, just any game developer wants their game to find the biggest audience possible. That's just the nature of building a game. You want people to enjoy and participate in what you've made. And I think we're in a unique position to deliver on that just because we are the platform. We build hardware, we've got a first-party games group, and then we've got a system that ties that together, that brings together your friends, your progression, your achievements, all of that. And I think that's really what has contributed to the momentum behind some of these communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at, just step back and you look at the history of the industry, we've moved from a place where it used to be that someone built and launched a game to accelerate hardware to actually the things we do with our hardware and with our platform are all in service of making those games bigger. And we think about that across all of the investments we make, the consoles we build, the investments we do with things like cross-play, cross-progression, the things that we're doing with cloud. How do we actually give more options to game creators so they can have the greatest success? I think one of the fun recent examples about this is actually Power World. Power World was able to launch, they were a game preview, they launched in Game Pass, they also simultaneously launched in Steam. And through the combination of those things, Pocket Pair was able to have this outsized success, and it was the largest third-party Game Pass launch ever. And that's all because we give creators options
That's
on
incredible.
how they can launch their games. We've got subscription, we've got retail, we've got free-to-play, we've got game preview, we have the consoles, we have our experience on PC, and they can access all of those things. And when we step back and we just look at the performance of our platform all up, we know it's working. We're at the highest level of users on console, the highest level of users on PC, the highest level of users on cloud ever. We have double-digit growth rate on PC and cloud, places where we're enabling creators to actually reach new players beyond the console ecosystem. And that's why we're leaning into it and doing more, because we see all those signals.
So we're talking about the role that hardware plays for creators, for the games and those communities. What about the role that hardware plays for us as a business, for Xbox?
When we look at our hardware, it really is, and Phil said this earlier, it's where you get like the most flagship seminal experience of Xbox. And it also represents a developer target. Our developers can build the specs of our hardware, and we invest to make sure they know when they do that the games are going to run great on our hardware, but they're also going to be able to be accessed across any screen because of all the other investments we make. So we're giving them an easy way to access as many players as possible. And we actually have more creators right now building for Xbox than ever before.
It did have a huge drop, but I mean, it's been out. That's what happens with single-player games.
We got more to come. There's some exciting stuff coming out in
Plus,
hardware.
they're
going
gonna
to share
update
this
it,
holiday. And we're also invested in the next generation roadmap. And what we're really focused on there
next
is
generation
delivering
already?
the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation, which makes it better for players and better for creators and the visions that they're building.
And then when we're talking about hardware too, there's these other considerations that are really important to our community, probably to each one of ourselves as well. When you talk about library, because I want to dig in on that a little bit more. As we talk about cloud in the wider entertainment industry, there's conversations about streaming. How is that impacting how I own my content that I've invested in? So what can we say about our stance around game preservation?
Yeah, one of the highlights for me of being in this position was getting to stand on stage when we announced the back compat coming to Xbox One. Like, it was fantastic. People were reading the teleprompter before I could read it. I'm a slow reader, and just feeling the energy in the auditorium as we were saying that, and online. One of the cues I think us as being part of Microsoft take is looking at Windows and how Windows over decades has maintained software compatibility with things that are built on it. Like I can still go back and play some of the games that I love playing on Windows from decades ago, and it will still run. And we try to bring that same view to consoles. It's harder in console because the line between what the hardware is and what the game is in consoles is traditionally, it's tighter, which makes compatibility, you end up doing these generational compatibilities that we've built. But I will say compatibility, the ability to not only play the games, but my saves are still there with our cloud save systems to try to keep the services up as long as we can so that people can play, is a tenet of what we are as Xbox. It's at our foundation. And when we look at future hardware generations and what we're gonna support, making sure that we respect, which is the word I use, respect the investments that people have made in Xbox going forward is fundamental. And the fact that you get into
So here's a little issue I have with what he just said about game libraries and, fundamentally respecting the purchases that people have made. Depending on your internet connection, even the discs that you own for your Xbox console, some of them might not work. With all the announcements of stuff like, that the digital games are going to be more of a focus and that they kind of have stopped carrying physical games in a lot of stores, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, GameStop. I've kind of gone on a bit of a hunt for physical discs. And a lot of them require you to connect to the internet in order to work. I've got the physical disc of Grand Theft Auto 5, and it'll install all the way. But when you go to launch it and you click on your profile, because it'll ask you for the profile, if you can't sign into your profile because you can't sign into the Xbox Live, it'll kick you back to your dashboard. It doesn't let you play. So if this is something that they really take seriously, they need to figure out whatever software update for the console to make it so that you can play your games offline. Because whether it's Xbox Live going down or the internet in your area maybe going down, which happens, you won't be able to use the games that you even have on disc that you went and bought. So it's wild. Preservation, but they refuse to put the games on the discs, and they haven't put more 360 games in the back compat. Yep. I've seen people already trying to claim that exclusives going to other consoles is Xbox dying. No, Xbox is going to be around for a long time. Even, honestly, just as a publisher and developers, if they had said in this video, like, hey, yeah, we're done making consoles, Xbox is still going to be around. They're not... With the purchase of Activision Blizzard and Call of Duty, it makes more money than Windows does now. They surpassed the amount of money that Windows makes, and Windows makes an insane amount of money.
Entitlements when you buy a game from us on both Windows and Xbox also means you have the ability to play that game across a multitude of devices, which I think furthers the compatibility of the games that you own.
Can we go back to what Xbox stands for today? I think we've pretty much covered all of the elements, but if you could break it down for me.
When you play on Xbox, what we're saying is you're playing on a platform where the biggest games in the world are always going to be. You're playing on a platform where you get to access Game Pass and all of the games from our incredible range of studios.
All right. She needs to calm down. Saying that it's the platform with the biggest games. It has Call of Duty, which is a giant game. And I would argue that both PlayStation and Nintendo, when it comes to their console exclusives, sell millions more than the Xbox's does. So she needs to, I understand she's there to try to, hype the brand still, but she needs to calm down.
We'll always launch in Game Pass day one. And you're playing on a platform that's dedicated to you, like player first features, cross-play, cross-save, cross-progression, backwards compatibility, being able to play your games in your library anywhere you want because of the investments that we make in cloud gaming. And so you're playing somewhere where you're investing and you know you get to take the games forward with you and across all of the screens where you are. And I think most importantly, Xbox is a place where you know when you're investing in Xbox, you're investing somewhere that is dedicated to making games more successful and creators more successful so that they can invest more to bring even better experiences to you all of the time.
Yeah, just that investment in the studios is so, and we feel that as part of first party with the platform proximity. You know, it's kind of amazing now to look out across all the studios we've got and just be reminded that we're now one of the biggest development organizations in the industry. What does that mean for players? It means that the biggest games are going to continue to come to Xbox. And this 2024, the year coming up, we've got more than 10 major releases coming up. Great stuff. Hellblade 2. We've got Diablo expansion. We've got Avowed, Ara, the Indiana Jones game. And there's more in development, which I think we're going to be able to share more about at our June showcase coming up pretty soon.
Well, I guess I should get ready to work on that show.
Secret announcement here. June showcase. I mean, E3's been canceled presumably for good. So it's nice to hear that they have a June showcase coming up where they're going to announce new games. Wow, all right.
Well, thank you all for showing up on the podcast today, and we'll see the rest of you this June.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank you.
All right, so this video, in my opinion, was way longer than it needed to be. Coming in right off the bat, though, and just saying, yeah, Starfield, Indiana Jones, staying on the Xbox, not going to any other platforms, that was a big deal. But just, like, you know, I guess still confirming that Xbox Game Pass was still getting the games day one. That's a good thing. Nothing's changed. Essentially, nothing has changed. It is nice, though, to see finally Activision Blizzard games are coming. Hopefully they can put the classic Call of Duties in Game Pass. But I mean, yeah, they started this off by talking about how there's 4 games that are very community driven, or I guess is what he said, that are going to other platforms. They're not going to say what those games are. I'm almost positive that's going to pop up in June at their June showcase. They did announce, yeah, Diablo's coming to Game Pass. But a lot of this stuff, like how does Xbox want to keep up with the industry, gaming communities, I guess still talking about how there's going to be, you know, hardware is important, but a lot of this stuff is just, not important filler, in my honest opinion. The biggest information I feel like I wanted to get out of this, which I didn't, was what games they were putting on other platforms. So I guess we're still going to have to wait and see. I would say probably June. But it's funny. It's funny that so many people across Twitter just absolutely lost their minds and sold their... It's like, what if they really did sell their Xboxes? Like, what? Well, you're going to have to buy another one if you want to play these games still, so... I don't know. It was a complete overreaction. So yeah, I mean, just business as usual for Xbox. So, I mean, it's essentially what I thought it was, which was a big to-do about nothing. I have a feeling, possibly, at whatever this new Nintendo Direct coming up that was supposed to be rumored for today, that obviously it's not happening today. I feel like there was some announcement for an Xbox game in that, and now maybe it's slightly different. the way the announcement's going to happen. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see for whenever the Nintendo Direct is, but yeah, it's exactly what I thought it was. Not a big deal. Nothing's changing. Everyone completely overreacted. And they're taking games that are over a year old and putting them on other platforms. So 2 small games and 2 community-driven games is Phil's words. I don't know, though, why.
So let's just go and tackle the exclusivity question, because I know it's on the minds of a lot of people. We hear from the community, and that's an important input for us. So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles, just 4 games, not a change to our kind of fundamental exclusive strategy. We're making these decisions for some specific reasons. We make every decision really with the long-term health of Xbox in mind. And long-term health of Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform for creators, reaching as many players as we can. We're always looking to learn as a leadership team and to grow. And we think this is an interesting point in time for us to use what some of the other platforms have right now to help grow our franchises. So we're going to do that.
So these 4 titles, what are they? Can you say?
I'm not going to name those games. The teams that are building those games have announced plans that are not too far away. As we know, game teams put a lot of energy into their announcements with the partners. So I don't want to take anything away.
Those announcements are not too far away. So he could be referring to the June showcase or whatever the next Nintendo Direct is going to be, possibly.
From those teams. So I won't be talking about the titles specifically, but I think when they come out, it'll make sense.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
They are not Starfield or Indiana Jones.
Well, what was the criteria in how the team was thinking about selecting those 4 titles?
Let me start a little bit outside of that, and then I'll get to the 4 specific games that we're talking about right now. Because
All right, we're not going to go back through this whole video again, but nonetheless, like I said, it's business as usual for Xbox. Nothing's changing. We're going to find out soonish what these games are going to be, and we will talk about it then. But I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I will be back on Sunday with streaming Hellblade. We'll be back playing continuing the story on that. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it here for this. It's exactly what I thought it was. And, everyone overreacted as usual. So, but until next time, guys, thank you for